So I did a lot of traveling in the South and had some very interesting experiences. Uh, but
Tell us about some of them.
one of our clients was the Association of American Railroads, and so I would get on trains and put as much on one railroad ticket as you could and make a circuit around the South. I visited a lot of college campuses for clients, and one of the things that I learned in the South was that if you acted a little crazy, you could get away with some things that maybe you ordinarily couldn't get away with. I was in a railroad station in Oklahoma City, I think it was, and I was in the white waiting room, and I could hear this, and I looked, and the porter was, or red cap rather, saying, "What do you want in there?" And I said, "I'm waiting for a cab." And he said, "Well, you need to come around here, to the waiting room marked colored." And I said, "Don't the cabs come by here?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, then I'll just stay right here." And sure enough, a cab came and I got it. But I just acted a little daffy. And I guess I was not wise enough to be frightened. And
I was about to say, I mean, the traveling around the South must have been quite an eye-opener for you in terms of how blacks were treated, how women were treated. I mean,
yes, it was, because although I cannot say that, even though growing up in Philadelphia, I cannot say that Philadelphia was without its discrimination. There were restaurants in which you could not eat. There were movie theaters where you had to sit in the balcony. So it, while there were no hard, fast laws, segregation laws, segregation was practiced, and discrimination was practiced in Philadelphia. But to go to the South, where it was, legal segregation and discrimination, was an eye-opener. And it was frightening, somewhat frightening, to know that people could do this legally.
mm-hmm.
And that there were penalties for you if you disobeyed.
Did you ever? Now, you mentioned this situation in Oklahoma City, where you stayed in the white waiting room. But were there not instances where you realized that the better part of wisdom was for you to go where the sign said you were supposed to go?
True, on occasion, yes.
Yeah.
But I remember riding on the streetcar in New Orleans, and there was a wooden sign that slipped into two holes on the back of the seat, and you were to move that sign to sit behind white people. It said "reserved for colored," and if you got on and you wanted to sit down, you had to make sure that you sat behind that little wooden sign. I stole one of them off of the streetcar in New Orleans one time because I wanted to bring it home and show people, because I didn't believe this, that there was actually a sign that you had to move and sit behind yourself. So I just stole the sign off the streetcar, put it under my jacket.
It's amazing to me that you were not arrested at some point in the South.
It's amazing to me that I wasn't arrested.
Because truly, it sounds as if you sort of decided that you were going to ignore as many of these laws and practices as you could possibly do.
Well, I I didn't really set out to ignore laws, but um, I thought that some of it was a little crazy, and I was going to New Orleans, I think it was, from Alabama, and I was on a train, and I went into the dining car, and in those days, there was a green curtain, and black people had to sit behind the green curtain with at rough tables with no tablecloths, and I didn't want to do that. So we were going through Mississippi on the train, uh, and I went into the dining car, and the steward said, "I have a table reserved for you." And I said, "In whose name is the reservation?" And he said, "It doesn't matter. I have a table reserved for you." I said, "That's a table for four, and I'm only one." So I sat down in the middle of the dining car at a table for two. And this dining car steward said, "Oh, look, lady, I'm from the north, and it doesn't make any difference to me." And I said, "Well, if it doesn't make any difference to you, it doesn't make any difference to me." And so I sat there and had breakfast in the middle of the dining car as we were going through Hattiesburg, Mississippi or something. And I figured they weren't going to throw me off of a moving train.
Well, in some parts of the South,
They
they
might
would
have.
have thrown you